Alrighty, so basically this is going to be a introduction on how to do your standard TikTok clips for YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, just having it in that cell phone format so you can be able to upload those clips. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you guys can see this. And so whenever you start up Davinci, this is what it usually comes up with. Usually comes up with projects you probably already have set up, or something along those lines of clips or anything like that. It'll probably just have untitled project for you. But for starters, what I'm just going to go ahead and do is we're just going to start from scratch and just go to an untitled project, and it should pull up something that looks like this. Now, pretty much what you want to do here is this is basically where you're going to be working your timeline, where your media goes. It's called your media pool. This is going to be your timeline down here, where you're going to see the audio and the video come up where you'll be making your edits. We'll get to that here in just a second. So what I usually do to start off my edits is I will right click in the media pool and I'm going to click create new timeline. Now, after clicking create new timeline, this comes up here and you could name your timeline to whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and name this workshop. So, and what I usually do here is for the time code, I don't know why it starts at 1 hour, but I usually switch that to 0. You can leave it as that, but that's entirely up to you. And then after I do that, I usually uncheck use project settings, and it brings up all these other menus here. This is kind of what you want to do for whenever you're wanting to create your content, whether even it be for, just your regular 1920 by 1080 or the cell phone format, as I've been referring to. So what I usually do is I'll click on format, and you'll see that it comes up here with timeline resolution, and then here's your processing resolution. Now for the cell phone format, what you're going to do here is you're going to flip these two numbers around to get it into that cell phone format, because if you leave it in 1920 by 1080, it's just going to come in as a regular 1080 1920 format as you'd see on your computer screen. So I'm going to go ahead and switch these numbers to give it that cell phone format, and you'll see what I'm talking about here whenever it comes up. Next, I'm going to go ahead and change the frame rate, and I always put my clips at 60 frames per second just because I want them to look fresh and clean whenever they come through. So after you do all that, you're not going to worry about anything else over here. The general monitor output, don't have to worry about anything on there after that. So then what you're going to do is you're just going to click create. And then as you can see here, it comes up with that cell phone format. It's very, very slim, but it comes out that very long format like a cell phone. And then, so what you're going to do next is you're going to take whatever clip you have. So right here, I have my folder that I've been downloading my clips to. And here's what we're going to do is this is my latest clip that we're just going to use for a test. And all you're going to do is your clip, you're just going to click and drag it. And I don't know why it's not wanting to allow me to drag it over. That is weird. Okay. Okay, so now it's letting me do that. Okay, cool. So it was just because I had it in administrative mode. So, all right, so now that you've got your clip in there, what you can do is you could go ahead and click this tab. This is your edit tab, where you can find everything that you need to work on over here. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and add my clip in here. And it just goes in like that. You just drag and drop. Now, the next part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the video of the clip, and it should highlight it in orange just like that. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my Alt button and click and drag it up one to duplicate it. And then what I'm going to do, because I do this whenever I make all my clips just to give it aesthetic, I'm going to go ahead and add one more in there. So you can either run with 2 clips or you could run with 3 clips here while we're trying to layer this out But that's entirely up to you, just whatever the preference is. This is just me because I prefer having 3 clips because I'll show you exactly what I do aesthetic wise. So first things first, we're going to start with this top clip here. And what I usually do is I come in here and I'm going to click the crop button right here. As you can see here, you have several different options you can work with. But for right now, we're just going to work with transform and crop. So first I'm going to click crop and you're going to see this little outlining pop up. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag it until it lines up with my face cam. And now this is also subject to change because I am going to obviously be fixing what the camera looks like. So after you do that and you get the cropping where you want it to be, what I do next is I'm going to click that drop down arrow again, and I'm going to click transform. Now, since we're working with this top layer and this little line shows up right here in the middle, basically what we have to do now to work with this top clip some more is we have to take this portion of the line and put it in the center of that cropping to show that that is where the middle of the layer is that we're going to be working on. So now I can drag that around wherever I want to, wherever I see fit. And you can also zoom in, zoom out. And it looks like my clip is actually fine where it's at on the webcam. It looks like I did just fine with how I wanted it. And then the next thing I'm going to do after that is I'm going to click the second layer of the video that I created. And what I'm going to do next is I am just going to zoom this out until you can't see my webcam, which I'm going to zoom it out to about right there. I feel like that's just perfect enough. And I'll probably do about that. There we go. That's good enough right there. If you wanted to, you could zoom this all the way out and have it just be the full clip. That is entirely up to you, though, whatever you want to do there. But the next part, I'm going to show you exactly what I do with all of my clips to make them look.
So what did you do after you got the webcam on top of the screen exactly?
So after I got the webcam up, I clicked the next layer of the video right here. So as you could see, I was working with the top layer here first, which is video 3, to work on my camera. And then now we're going to work on the gameplay layer, which is video 2. And as I said, you could literally just zoom it out to that or whatever you prefer. I'm going to put it to about right there. Now this last layer, I'm going to size out the rest of the video. So we're going to make sure it fits to screen just like that. Now what I'm going to do next for my videos, just to give it that aesthetic, is I'm going to come over here to my toolbox that I have. And we're going to look at the open effects. So the open effects is going to be where you're going to find a lot of those cool effects that you want to work with. And pretty much what I do is I work with mostly the blurs whenever I want to work on my TikTok clips. And I'm going to add, let's just add the Gaussian blur because I like the Gaussian blur more than all of these. It just seems like it smooths out the rest of the clip compared to the other blurs. So right here where it says Gaussian blur, I'm going to click and hold onto it. And then I'm going to drag it onto that bottom clip. Now, while we still have this clip selected, what you're going to see is that the effects up here in your inspector tool is going to become, able to be toggled. At first, it was kind of blanked out like audio, transition, and image, but now we can actually select it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that, and you see that my Gaussian blur is activated, and you can do the strength of the blur. So you're going to see the outlining of this clip to get more blurry or not blurry at all, which I usually go for about, and let's just put it at about right there. Let's just go to about 706. And that's pretty much it. I'll go back and I'll rewatch my clip. just to make sure that there's audio going through it.
One enemy remaining.
Just to make sure that there's no issues there.
Push no button. Save
Good job,
the day.
guys.
Easy.
Anyway, that's pretty much it. That's what I usually do to my clips. And after I get done editing the clip and I know that everything looks good on there, what I usually do is I click on this little rocket emoji here. This is called the deliver button. And after you click that, it's going to come up here to where you can name your file, choose the location, make sure that all of your video settings are correct. So first, I'm just going to go ahead and do this and just go workshop. And I'm going to browse and put this in a certain location. I'm going to go ahead and put this in my one file that I have for this. Let me see here if I can find it. So 3A workshop. So I'm just going to put this in here. And you're going to see that it's got the location tagged down to my G drive. And it's got the folder. Everything looks good on here. You don't usually have to mess with anything over here. Just make sure your resolution and your frame rate set up. Make sure the quality set to best. Don't have to worry about the encoding profile. Don't have to worry about the keyframes. After you've looked at everything, you can go ahead and add your clip to the render queue. Now, after you add the clip to the render queue, it's going to show up over here in the render queue. And you're not quite done yet. After you've done that, you're going to click this render all button. And then you're going to see this time come up on here along with this percentage. And you're going to see the video progressively get rendered. And once that is done, you should have your clip all ready to go to upload to your Google Drive or your OneDrive, whichever you use to handle your clips to get them onto your phone. But after that, that's pretty much it. You can save it. And I'm just going to go ahead and type this in as Davinci Workshop. And that's about all there is to it. Pretty simple.